IVC, Dale Gateful 33, here to do the next episode of my Lost in the Collection series. I think this is 27, it might be 28, can't remember, lost count. So the 5 records that I am delving back into this week, I've kind of challenged myself a little bit. What I've done is I've looked at the list of the 500 records that haven't been listened to for 5 years, and I've picked 5 of the ones that are in my spreadsheet, which includes my personal rating, that I rate the lowest. So these are 5 records that I don't rate very highly, and I've gone back to them to see if anything's changed. So, and before I start, I do curate my collection quite well. I've purged several times over the years, mainly because I'm constrained by space, so I typically don't keep anything if I don't like it. I don't, there's a few artists that I collect the artists, so that I kind of, I've got some gap fillers that are, not top albums, but I'll keep those. But by and large, I don't keep an album if I don't enjoy it, a lot. So anyway, I'll do these again in the order that I played them this week. So first up is the Edgar Band. So I've got 2 albums by the Edgar Band. This one, Wassa Wassa, and the one that followed it. These are originals. This is a EMI Harvest unboxed EMI. Got it from a car boot sale, so it only cost me £1 or something. It's the cover's a bit beat, but the record's is fine, plays fine. So I've really tried to like the Edgar Band, and I've now concluded that I don't. And it's the singing, it's the voice. I can't get past the voice. It's a bit similar to was it last week? It sounds like a sort of a clone of Captain Beefheart at the kind of Beefheart's most kind of out there phase. It is quite, and so the music, I think there's some really good music going on, but I can't get past the voice. So I've concluded, having gone back to these Edgar Band albums several times, they're not for me. Okay, next up is Style Council, and their live album, Home and Abroad. So this is a live set of pretty much what you'd expect from 1986. So obviously it picks up the Cafe Blur album and Our Favourite Shop album, and My Ever Changing Mood, The Lodgers, Head Start for Happiness, Homebreakers, Shout to the Top, Walls Come Tumbling Down, Internationalists. Particularly, the second side is really strong. So this does not get well reviewed, but it's kind of like the only live album, certainly on of the time. And I never saw the Style Council live, so it's my only kind of chance to experience it really. But obviously, then there's subsequently been, I think, CD and other kind of later releases of archive material. But it's not, to me, it's not the most energetic, dynamic performance, and I think the mixing or the recording is not brilliant. So, I think the balance between the vocals and the instruments is not always great, but it's a live recording, you can't always get it right. It is what it was. But I enjoyed it. It was nice. I haven't played it for a while, and I enjoyed it. So it's next up is a Rolling Stones album that I tend to look past. So this is a really nice copy of Black and Blue, 1976 album, kind of heading into a sort of in a bit of a lost period perhaps. And it is fine. It is a fine album. What did I think? I thought that the opening track, Hot Stuff, 5 minutes 21 minutes, was not the best opening track of the album. I don't think it did it justice. So I think that album was a little bit didn't really go anywhere, took a long time to get going, and didn't really hit the mark with me. And I could maybe see why people listen to the album, that maybe that would have been a disappointing start, but I think there's some good stuff in it. So you know, I didn't like the Cheerio Baby you know, reggae light version. Hand of Fate was fine, and Memory Motel were fine on the first side, and then I thought then the second side was pretty good. Really enjoyed the second side, but as I say, I don't know whether it is, say, let down by that opening track, which for me just was a bit of a slow start to the album. But once it got going, and they say, didn't enjoy Cheerio Baby, but once the rest I thought was fine. And it's yeah, it's a good album. Not brilliant, it's a good album. Okay, what we are to next is Miles Davis Milestone. So this is another record. I've got several Miles Davis albums that I got. I think it's from a box in a car boot sale several years ago. It didn't cost me anything particularly. And yeah, I'm getting into jazz. I've got, what, looking at now down here, 150 jazz albums, of which there's probably about 8 or 9 Miles Davis. Most of them I've got from car boot sales, and not really. I just doesn't quite do it for me. I don't know what it is, but I'm not a massive Miles fan, and that's not to say I don't like Miles. It's just that I do. When I've listened to him, I haven't felt inclined to really delve deep into Miles Davis. I appreciate he's got a massive body of work, a very well revered body of work, and he is highly rated as a jazz performer, leader, composer, etc. Just for me, it just doesn't seem to click. So it's not, some do. So Kind of Blue and In a Silent Way are fantastic albums, right up there for me. They are fantastic. They do it for me. Sketches of Spain is pretty good. That's also good. This was okay. I just felt it was just just felt a bit more like a number of songs put out, rather than some of those other ones I've talked about. I can feel the whole suite gels together. This, it just felt like a number of songs, some of which were really good. So Sid's Ahead, the middle sort of 13-minute song on side 1, I enjoyed, and the one track titled Miles I enjoyed. In fact, the second side was pretty good, better than enjoyed it more than the first side, but didn't blow my socks off still. But it's definitely a keeper, and I will keep trying with Miles Davis. But say the ones I like, I really like. The rest, I'm kind of, whatever. Okay, and finally is this album, Think Pink by Twink. So Twink is a drummer. This is Think Pink on very garish pink vinyl. Came out on Sunbeam Records several years ago. I saw it in a record shop and sort of recognised it and thought, well, isn't this a Psych classic? 2013, so I must have bought it about at that time. Isn't this a Psych classic? And I think I had on a I had on a compilation the song 10,000 Words in a Cardboard Box. That I had that on a Psych comp, and so I knew that I liked that song, so I bought this. But this is, I don't know. My view is this is a very padded out album, and I don't quite understand whether there was a backstory about he had some kind of deal. If you're going to get Twink to do another, because record with someone else, he needed to put this out. But this is not, to me, a stellar Psych album. It's got too much padding, too much just kind of noodling on it. So 10,000 Words in a Cardboard Box is great. Tiptoe on the Highest Hill is great. Gets a little bit kind of long at the end. I think they just kind of added a little bit too much of a musical, instrumental kind of diversion at the end. And I like the last song, Sparrow as a Sign. But there's a lot of, as I say, just what felt like filler. I wasn't getting the mood. you know, a lot of kind of instrumentals with spoken word and vocal kind of, you know, just vocal drivel going on it. So this is not, to me, the lost psych classic. Certainly the £300 or £400 that originals of this you know, demand, I wouldn't pay anything like that for it. So Twink, you know, for those of you, know, Twink has obviously had a very varied career, and he's and this draws together, you know, there's a lot of guests on this from through, you know, his career. So he's been in Tomorrow, Pink Fairies, Pretty Things, and who else? Someone else I've forgotten. And there are guests, therefore. I mean, Ansel's also like. Get this booklet out. Don't want to go into so much depth on an album that I didn't really like. So there's also guesting on here. Steve Peregrine Took, obviously a Titanosaurus Rex, John Lodge from Moody Blues, yeah, so you know, Wally Waller's on here, yeah, lots of people supporting, who from various bands that he's been in before, but yeah, overall, yeah, it's not an album that I enjoyed particularly as an album. As I liked three tracks on it. I liked. Okay, so that's the week. You know, obviously I knew I was going to test myself by going back to some records that you know, I hadn't rated highly, but for some reason I had kept in the collection. I think you know, I've obviously decided Edgar Band isn't for me. The others are all staying in the collection. There's enough on that Twink album, despite what I've just kind of crucified it. There's enough on that Twink album to probably keep my interest, but I probably will get rid of it at some point. And surprisingly, this was the highlight. Obviously, I was in a Style Council mood, and this was an okay Style Council diversion for the week. So yeah, so that's it, VC. For this week. I will be back next week with another episode. Cheers, bye.